Not funny.
Colin.
It's going rogue left and right, man.
And Mike, the Ape Man.
Oh my goodness gracious.
PTR Radio.
You ready to kick ass?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. That's right, we're back on a Tuesday because Colin had things to do yesterday. So
I had to play taxi.
Yes, he did. But that's okay. Sometimes you have to play taxi. You know, I'm going to get taxi played on me in a couple weeks. You know, hopefully somebody's going to take me. Otherwise, I got to leave my car at the airport. So I'm going to DC for a few days. So
that's right. You're going to be a keynote speaker and
I'm gonna be a speaker. I'm not gonna be a keynote, but I'll be a speaker. Yeah, and we had a run through today, and even the person who was running it's like, this is only a 30-minute talk, and so far the person who had arranged it had 9 questions. There's 3 people on the panel, plus the moderator. 30 minutes, and this guy had laid out 9 questions. Like that, there's no way that we're going to get through 9 questions with 3 people in 30 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, there's. What do you think about AI and its use in security? I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think? That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So, but that's okay. We'll have, it's one of those things where I can talk about what I do for hours on end if you want me to. It doesn't, I can just, go on. And what I usually find happens at these things is, I'm technically on stage for, 15, 30 minutes, whatever it is. But then I get pulled into hallway conversations or I get, follow-ups.
Oh, those are the best conversations.
So
that's the entire point of going.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. And I'm going to be there the whole day for this thing. And they've kind of asked me to do a little bit of a follow-up interview after the event's over. So that'll be kind of fun. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So
if you by chance, while you're walking the hallways, you run into a guy that looks kind of like Jeff Dunham's puppet, Walter.
Mm-hmm.
Don't move too quick. Just don't startle him.
Yeah, no.
And maybe have a list of questions for him.
Yeah. First of all,
how come your hair doesn't move?
And maybe
that would be my number one question.
Have you heard of this podcast? That might be a question. So,
well, yeah.
Have you heard of podcasts?
That'd be a good
one. But
no, I haven't. But I've heard of buttered sausage.
Oh, speaking of seeing things, did anybody see what the most Googled thing is within the last week?
Something about eye damage and the eclipse.
Yeah, why do my eyes hurt?
We briefly spoke about it on the last show, but there were towns in New Jersey that the mayors declared a state of emergency so that the kids would have to be home. And they were not responsible for these demon spawn doing stupid looking up at the sky.
The school that the grandkids go to had to send out permission slips for the kids to be dismissed at the regular time because that's when it was happening around here. So you had to have a permission slip signed for you to leave school. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I saw something about the next eclipse, and I have no idea if this is true or not. So if somebody knows, don't come and say that I got fooled by something. I'll just say in advance, I am not going to go to this place for this eclipse because I know it is going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You mean
Because apparently
Alaska?
the next total eclipse, no, it's going through the middle of Orlando, Florida, which means Disney World is going to be crazy.
Yes.
The next
Yeah, they're
total
already saying it's
solar eclipse will hit 2 popular travel destinations.
which
You know
are
that? It says Snafulis, Pennsylvania, and Reykjavik.
Iceland.
Yes. For almost 2 full minutes of totality. That's what they say. That's going to happen in
actually
August. According to the next total eclipse to be visible in the continental U.S. isn't until 2044.
correct.
So, Colin,
Yeah,
you have
that's what
a
I was-
while. You know,
Just saying,
you have 20
if it's really
years
going through
to
Disney,
wait. Yeah,
I'll only be 66.
Yeah, but you know, I think maybe Disney will have moved by then. You don't know. It could happen. You know?
No.
Yeah.
No. What after nobody in Florida? Well, I should say that. Not nobody in Florida. After the governor of Florida, DeSantis, was no longer running for president, the whole Disney thing just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, there was
So
a map. I thought I saw something that showed all the total eclipses or even partial eclipses for the next. And I thought that there was going to be one in Alaska, but I could be wrong.
So, August 2026, Arctic, Greenland, Iceland, Spain is slated. 2027, Egypt, Morocco, Spain, Algeria, Liberia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Somalia. 2028, Australia and New Zealand. 2030, Botswana, South Africa, and Australia. 2033, Russia and Alaska.
Aha!
there you go.
2034, Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, Sudan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India and China. You know, all the vacation hotspots. 2035, China, North Korea, Japan, and the Pacific Ocean. 2037, Australia, New Zealand. Again, Australia, New Zealand in 2038, 2039, Antarctica, you know, 2041, Angola, Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia. And then 2042, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, North Pacific. And then 2043, Russia gets it exclusively to itself. 2044, Greenland, Canada, and the U.S. in North Dakota and Montana. And then in 2045, here's the one that Colin's looking forward to. U.S., Haiti, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Ghana, French Ghana, Suriname, and Brazil. And that's the one which goes right through Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Oklahoma, Minnesota. No, not Minnesota. Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, the lower part of Georgia, and Florida. So there you go.
So I have eclipse glasses for cheap if anybody wants them.
Oh no, you're supposed to send them to third world countries, Mike. You know, rather than food, they want eclipse glasses.
Yeah, because anywho,
So, yeah. So what do we have on the list?
What was great was the news mistakes that happened during the solar eclipse. And Mike, you pointed out one on a Mexican news station, which was great.
Only in Mexico. So they cut to the reporter in the field, and it somehow his testicles were broadcast out to all of Mexico.
I don't know if it was his testicles, if it was the reporter's testicles.
I truly don't care whose testicles they were.
You don't want to get to the bottom of it?
I do not.
I mean, you know.
Desde las 11:09 de la mañana, completamente a oscuras, estaría Mazatlán,
Sí.
Durango, Gómez Palacio, Lerdo, Nazas también en el municipio de Durango, Torreón,
Arkansas,
Monclova, Musquis, donde está tu familia, Piedras Negras y Acuña en el estado de Coahuila. Serían los municipios donde más se podría apreciar.
Now, notice how the blonde recognized what they were immediately.
Yeah. Oh, she's been up close and personal before.
Oh my God, huevos.
Huevos rancheros. Donde tosteros.
¿Dónde está tu pantalones?
Yes. You know. Meanwhile, here we have some pictures of people who saw it firsthand. You know. But
of course, because you know celebrities are different when they're looking at the eclipse.
Yes. And that was, you know, we saw all these people in all these glasses, you know, everybody looking up. Everybody looks up. You know. And
I mean, I'll admit, I was the idiot out there, even though I wasn't in full coverage or, you know, totality, as it were. I was the idiot out there with the glasses looking up. I'm like, ooh, here it goes. It's popping out of the cloud. Okay, awesome. Okay. You know why? Because my corporate headquarters was in totality. And they did a webcast. For those of us who were not lucky enough to be in totality.
Yeah. You know, I just turned on the NASA YouTube channel and I saw it from everywhere. So,
yeah, that probably would have been the smarter play.
You know, I could see it, you know, in all the states. So
I said to Kim, I said, what the hell am I supposed to do with all these glasses? I thought the kids next door were going to need them. I thought people were going to be asking, where the hell is everybody? Yeah. Put them on the dog or something. Do something.
And did you see that there were recalls on them? So,
of course.
You know, and I don't remember which comedian it was, which late night host it was, but he's like, okay, so I ordered these glasses from Amazon and I don't know, I'm just hoping that they work. There's no documentation provided with them. There's no certification. There's no, you know, UL listing. Oh no, I'm just guessing that they're gonna save my corneas from staring directly at the sun.
So, not that this was a guarantee, but because I did order off of Amazon, I made sure not to buy from a brand that had more consonants than vowels in their name, like Ying Gao or Jintao, or anything like that. Happy Baby glasses, no. When you're just combining an adjective and any noun,
When you look at the reviews and it says
Jumpy Tiger, no.
When you look at the reviews and it says, I think this vacuum cleaner worked perfectly, and it's an advertisement for Eclipse glasses.
Best glasses for ever viewing eclipse. Yes, no. Yeah, actually, went with a brand that I went with previously before everybody jumped on this. Right? What was it, like Lunt Solar Systems or something like that? But
I was looking for some.
you
And I
get
found
'em.
out that the local hardware store had them for like 70 cents or something.
yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
they're not. I think I bought like a dozen of them for like $5 or $6, but I bought them 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, Amazon
As soon as-
removed over 6 million counterfeit items related to solar eclipse glasses from their inventory.
Yes. So let's do this. Let me go into my previously ordered items and see if the ones I ordered are still for sale. Because if they're not, then I don't know. My eyes may be permanently damaged. Let's see. Search orders.
And then you had
Nope,
people
they're
who were
still-
and then you had people who were buying the photo lens, eclipse things, and then trying to be like a pirate with one eye, So
So they're still available.
So,
What was my
so I'll tell the truth. I completely forgot. I was working on fixing something over lunch, and I realized I missed the entire thing. And I was like, oh,
I had a meeting scheduled during it, and they requested that we postpone the meeting 15 minutes. So I'm like, okay, fine. And so then I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be kind of cool. So let me find a camera and I'll put it in the backyard because that's where the sun was at the time. I'm like, and I'll record on my security system at getting dark. And I was as bummed this time and as not impressed as I was the last time this happened. Because in my opinion, it's no big deal. I have seen it get darker during a storm. So, I was, and this was like the best situation for us here because it was supposed to be like 90% coverage here in Springfield. And
where we were. I mean, where we were, it was really low.
Well,
Last time was good. Last time we were really close to totality.
I thought
we were like
Carbondale was like 100%, right? We're not
yes,
that far
Carbondale
from there.
was, but that's like.
Don't explain how the curvature of the Earth works, please. Don't.
So I mean,
if the Earth was flat,
just
then maybe your theory is correct.
How tall Illinois is.
Well, I mean, other cities such as Chicago and Springfield will see between 90 and 96% of the sun being covered by the moon. So you can't say it's low when we're between 90 and 96%.
Yeah, but this is the sun. 90% isn't actually that impressive.
I'll take a 90% chance of winning the lottery any day. So,
Well, yeah.
And that's still...
It would be nice if you got like 90% of the numbers and that means you get 90% of the jackpot. That would be nice.
How many numbers are pulled?
I'm sorry. I'm dreaming because I'm just getting tired of working. I'm just starting to dream stupid stuff now. I'm disgusted with work.
Five
These
numbers
bastards
are pulled, and one number from 26 red balls. So if you get, let's say 90%.
Just do a search for what Just do a search for what the odds are for Powerball and Mega Millions. Don't try to do it yourself.
Yeah, dude, don't
because
don't
that weird Powerball.
No, I was trying to say, what if I got 90% of the numbers? What would my winnings be?
I know. All you have to do is get what the odds are, and then take 90% of that number.
They're 1 in 292.2 million.
Yeah. So you have to cover 90% of.
What?
It's
Why did I even go down that road?
It's 262,800,000. So that means I would have, a lot. So there'd only be like another 30 million people competing against me.
Okay.
I don't know how math works. Math is hard. And I don't get into this new math.
It is.
So
yeah, when I'm in meetings with vice presidents and I actually catch myself saying, yeah, the math does not math here.
Yeah.
They think I'm trying to be funny. I'm like, no, it does not. The best had to be, I'm talking to, I almost did it and I stopped myself. I actually went to a council meeting like 6 weeks ago and I spoke and flat out looked at the mayor and I said, numbers do not lie. And I had it written down and I didn't say it. I said, I'd like to quote the great scientist Norman Gottlieb, who said, numbers do not lie. Poetry, promises, politics, those are lies. Numbers are as close as we get to the handwriting of God.
Sometimes they fib.
So, but the thing is, Norman Gottlieb was one of the two scientists in Pacific Rim. And I wanted to call the mayor out on this, but I decided, no, I better not start quoting fictional doctors.
I don't know.
That's about as political as I'm going to get, folks.
Yeah.
Just don't plural math and do maths, because then you're English.
No. The math doesn't math. That's
so. In addition to the solar eclipse stuff, there was an article that I put out there, which was in regards to I love this. There's a big enough fear of dentists as it is. There's a story out here which is not going to make you feel any better. All right. So oral surgeon Dr. Louis Bourget, I don't know. This is a great story. All right. He guided a prison guard through extraction of an inmate's tooth. And he has been given what's called an absolute discharge.
Okay, so I did not read this thing, but was this like a Zoom meeting or was he there and telling the guy what to do?
He was there. All right, he operates out of the Gander Family Dental Clinic building. He received an absolute discharge on Tuesday at Supreme Court. It's the lowest level of criminal sentence that an adult offender can receive. It's a finding of guilt, but no criminal conviction is registered, and there's no probation ordered. In October of 2022, correctional officers from the Bishop Falls Correctional Center, Ron McDonald and Roy Goodyear, accompanied an inmate to the clinic. So this took place.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
hold
I know.
On.
I know.
You're pulling my leg now, right?
It's movie character
names. Two of the biggest companies, and that's their last names.
McDonald and Goodyear.
This cannot be a coincidence.
Yeah. Ron McDonald and Roy Goodyear, straight out of some kind of a comedy movie, accompanied an inmate. Which I love that they use the word accompanied, because the inmate was going there anyway. So they just hitched a ride, to the clinic. According to the
maybe they're like cool with him. Like, hey, what's up? Okay, come on. We're going to get your tooth fixed. Let's go, Pookie.
Yeah. According to the agreed statements of facts, when the patient was sedated, Bourget was explaining the procedure to the guards. And he then suggested one of the guards remove 4 teeth. McDonald took out the teeth while Goodyear recorded the whole thing.
Okay, there's the other idiot move.
I know. Don't record it if you're going to do something this stupid. According to the statement of facts, Bourget said he got caught up in the moment of teaching, but regretted the decision after the procedure. I've taught a lot of people. I understand that adrenaline rush you get when somebody understands it and they can then jump in and they can do things on their own and you feel like you empowered them. I have never, ever felt like, you know what? I'm good enough. I could teach them to perform surgery. I could do that. I could just hand the tools over to somebody while I got somebody else asleep on the table. I'm that good of a teacher.
This is why you always got to have somebody trusted there with you.
Yeah, I mean, where was the assistant? Where was the nurse who said, I don't know, Doc, this seems like a mistake? And
because if the patient was out,
yeah,
I don't know how it is where but the dentist cannot administer the anesthesia for general surgery in a dentist's office. There has to be an anesthesiologist and a nurse's assistant or the dentist assistant.
Yeah, I don't know if it's any different.
It's never a solo flight like that.
Yeah, I don't know. In court on Tuesday, Justice Melanie Del Rizzo said that there were several things to consider when delivering her decision, including the pressures of the pandemic, Burgett's financial loss, his guilty plea, his low risk to re-offend, and his completion of sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training. Now, can you pull up his picture from the article?
Yeah. This guy.
Can we just talk about his shirt for a second? The man is in court facing charges that could potentially, I assume, result in him being barred from ever being a dentist again unless he moves to Mexico. The man is wearing like a Margaritaville shirt. That does not seem like appropriate. Yeah, court attire.
Unbuttoned to show off the manly chest, silver chest hair. Yeah.
That's not saying I don't like the shirt. I do like the shirt.
Yeah, I like the shirt too. I just wouldn't wear it to court to defend myself.
No.
From this charge.
Yeah. So did anything actually go wrong, or just the fact that it happened?
Did anything go wrong? Yeah, he let guards perform oral surgery.
No.
There was nothing wrong with the surgery itself. No.
Okay, I think that's what Colin was getting at.
Yeah,
no. Were there extenuating circumstances afterwards where
No.
The inmate could no longer eat hard food?
The judge also acknowledged the victim's psychological harm due to the incident, breaches of his bodily integrity, and that Burgett did not report the incident. The sentence must be proportionate.
Integrity?
Yeah.
Is that in the chapter after emotional intelligence?
Well, in this case, bodily integrity is in regards to the victim. So it's the same thing as like when a dentist whips out his wiener and stuffs it into the passed out person's mouth. You don't want to violate them while they're incapacitated. So
interesting way to define it, but okay.
I was using an example we could all, draw some, some parallels to.
Whoa, what? I'm not drawing any parallel to being molested by a dentist.
I mean, we've all been there.
Excuse me? What?
I mean,
And for the record, my dentist is female. The entire staff in that office is female. And I still will not relate to this.
Well, I mean, sometimes they say, oh, sorry, the saline out of the little wandy thing just slipped, and that's why your pants are wet. I mean, it happens.
You need a new dentist, Shay. Mine's very good.
Really.
I have no problem with my dentist and any liquids appearing when they're not supposed to.
Dr.
Yeah,
McTouchy
Shaggy,
Feely is just
you need
fine.
to not. No, you need to not go to a dentist where they are, instead of a lollipop, you get a happy ending.
Oh my, he's pretty cheap.
He no less. Good
So,
Lord.
Anyway, it says here the sentence must be proportional to the gravity of the offense. A criminal conviction is not in the public's interest. That's what the judge said.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Yeah, I guess all's well that ends well kind of thing. Maybe he's going to be on probation. Maybe he's going to lose a contract with the prison or what have you. But everybody's going to know this guy's name.
Well, and that's what they said. They said, however, following the incident, he served sanctions from dental boards in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador. Dr. Paul O'Brien, registrar of the Newfoundland and Labrador Dental Board, said the matter likely won't arise again. Nothing happens next because unless there's a conviction, the same set of facts were there for the disciplinary action, so nothing's changed.
He's a Canadian?
Evidently.
Oh, this changes things.
He said, we will discuss it with their legal counsel and see what they have to say, but other than that, I have nothing to comment. Burgett's has offices in Gander, northern New Brunswick, and the Halifax area.
So the fact that he's a Canadian dentist, that makes him like uber essential because hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So
and there's lots of teeth to fix.
Yeah. That changes things, the fact that he's in Canada.
That's like a
I ain't saying he was
skill.
right. like I'm not saying he should have he shouldn't have done this to this inmate. You know, that's not up for debate. However, now I understand why they were so lenient with the charges upon sentencing.
Even in non-pandemic times, he's considered essential worker. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. But, and you can see that look on his face. Like, what are you going to do to me? Come on. Goalie's going to goal.
Pretty much.
Shaggy, I don't have the list in front of me. There was something you posted to the list, and you said something along the lines of if you really wanted to talk about this one. Something I knew something about. So
something you knew something.
It's very
about?
recently. It is something I know something about. So
it wasn't the other eclipse thing, right? Because we weren't going to talk about that.
No.
What? What did I talk?
Am I on the wrong channel?
I don't actually know what we're talking about here. So, Colin, you go ahead and go.
Well, I have to find it. I don't have a thing in front of me.
Oh, because I'm not sure what it was.
Okay, so the only other things that I'm seeing on the white sheet are two pew pew related topics that I posted up.
Yeah,
and something that we said we were not going to talk about on the air.
Yeah. Let me see. Maybe it was on. Was it on the last one? Nope, because we had all that.
I remembered seeing it show up just like very recently, last couple of days.
It wasn't in our personal chat. I don't think so. Nope. Nope, not the Roadhouse remake.
Okay, just a second. I'm going to toggle off my camera.
All right.
Okay.
So I will tell you
while he's doing that, I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
Did you see? I'm not a big SNL fan.
Right.
But did you see the Beavis and Butthead skit?
I did not see the Beavis and Butthead skit, but I heard that this last week was pretty good. In fact, they had a song parody about Lake Beach that was pretty good as well.
I don't remember the parody.
Yeah, Lake Beach.
I saw they brought the alien abduction. They did that follow up to that skit as the opener. But the Beavis and Butthead one, my God, it's I haven't laughed at a SNL thing as hard as I have
we will. I'm sure this will get, monetized for them. But let's go ahead and we'll put this into. Where are we at here? Let me throw this in here.
But
Well,
it was
go
Mike.
ahead.
by the way,
It was
not
Mike.
Shaggy.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
So what was it, Colin?
Which one?
It was the Rust.
Okay. So, all
armor.
right. So this is kind of a serious topic. We'll do this so we don't get a copyright strike by Shaggy playing video that we shouldn't play. So, anybody who's followed this over the past year or so, Alec Baldwin shooting a movie called Rust. It's a Western, and the cinematographer, I forget what Halyna Hutchins was, but someone was killed on set while they were filming, and the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, was just sentenced to over a year in prison. She got 18 months in prison. Mm-hmm. The judge deemed that she was the one essentially responsible for the death. I think it was involuntary manslaughter, or I forget exactly what the charges were. But the big thing, and I have said this all along, and I'm hoping somebody can explain this to me. I do not understand why in this day and age that we still need functional weapons on sets when we have CGI that is amazing. We have all of this stuff that can make fake look real, right?
Yeah.
Now, even with functioning weaponry, why there is actually live ammunition anywhere near a Hollywood set is another question that begs to be answered here.
Because there shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
There should absolutely
So I could answer some of them. Okay, so first off, if you're talking a more modern a gun that takes a
magazine.
Anyway, they're usually doing like airsoft, and they have some now that they actually have like a gas powered thing in it. So when you pull the trigger, everything cycles on it, just like normal. The problem is when you're doing like a Western, is that those tend to be revolvers. And a revolver, you can see the bullets from the front. So because of that, those tend to need to be real-looking guns, one way or another. So it's very difficult to put like an airsoft in there to say, okay, pretend this is the gun. They have it look correct. But that being the case, even then, the rounds they put in those revolvers are supposed to have like a ball bearing in it. So you take it and you shake it, and you hear the ball bearing, and you know that's not a real round. And if you need the gun to actually fire, and you put it in a blank, that's only supposed to be there when you're shooting them, because you don't want to see that from the front, because those are obviously not real rounds. They have a crimp on the front of them. So because of that, they're not supposed to have blank fire rounds in them most of the time. So it's a real gun, and because of that, you could take it out and use it, and that's what they apparently did. They for fun were taking this gun out like a week or two before this happened, and were using it at a gun range because it was a real gun, and as a revolver, they tend to be that way.
Yeah, from
there's no excuse for any real bullet to be anywhere close to that set. And if Hannah, whatever her name is, had any level of professionalism at all, there is no way that she would want a real round in the vicinity of that gun at any time while that movie was still being shot. Now, once the movie was done and the gun was no longer needed, and it was no longer, you could consider just a regular gun at that point, fine. But just everything about this was wrong. And for her to get mad at the jury and to get mad at everybody and think that everybody's blaming her, it is her fault. And that some other people were also supposed to check it, yes, fine. But look, this is the equivalent of saying, oh yeah, I had 20 live grenades in my house, but they were supposed to be locked in the closet. It's not my fault that someone got one out and let my kids play with it and blew all my kids up. You don't have the crates of live grenades in your house.
That's an interesting analogy, though, because
bullet on your movie set.
Yeah, but okay. So the example you just used there about the grenade in the closet and the kids playing with it and all that's interesting, because that would mean that in the case of school shootings, that the parents who were the legal owners of the guns should be charged.
And actually, recently, recently there was just a case where, parents who ignored obvious signs of a troubled teen and gave him access to weapons were actually charged in a school shooting.
Oh, well,
I believe they were just convicted.
Gave is different than them taking access. There is a distinction.
They did not restrict access. Let's put it that way. I mean, they but yes. And I'm not going to pretend that I have all the facts in that case. I just read headlines and maybe a couple of paragraphs there, but I know that they were not taking action when there was a clear and present danger and concern that needed to be held that was voiced to them by multiple people.
Well, right. So that I get. My point was more along the lines of like Sandy Hook, where the shooter, the parent had secured their weapons as required, but access was still gained.
Right.
And the parent was never charged. So that's kind of where I'm saying one.
And I think it's give versus
there's a fine line.
Give versus got.
But we're I mean, to get back to this topic though. I still don't understand. Even to your point though.
Imagine more like this. Imagine in this closet you have two boxes, and one box were the play grenades that the kids were allowed to go and throw at each other because that they weren't real grenades and they were going to play World War II GIs, and that's their fun thing. And next to it was a box full of real grenades that looked just like the play grenades.
I can get us out of this analogy world. So
well, no, I mean it's not even no. Well, forget the analogy. So even to your point, this is another part where I'm a little confused though. To your point, like with the revolver, I understand. Yes. So the cartridge is visible down the barrel, what have you, if you look and what have. But if you're telling me that you can't CGI that.
Yeah, I mean we could CGI the mustache to me off of Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
So
this is what I'm saying. There is no reason to have a functioning weapon on the set, or even pseudo-functional. There is no reason for that. And I think that is the point that keeps getting glossed over here in this trial. Why is that even permitted in Hollywood at this point? Why is it even
CGI
needed?
Isn't that good yet? The CGI is not good enough for just a normal walking around to have a gun-shaped object and then replace it after the fact with a computer-generated gun.
I don't know that it's not good enough.
No, I'm not talking about the gun itself.
No, I know.
The gun itself, you don't. Fine, you have a weapon, but
I get where you're coming from, Mike. I get where you're coming from, Colin. I don't think that it's not good enough. I think it comes down to cost. I think that it comes down to not every movie has the budget for it, and so they try to take cheap ways out. The cheap way out is not the safe way out. The safe way out is what Mike's describing. The cheap way out is use a real thing. There's another
example.
I'm not saying that there is a answer to this. We're certainly not going to get to it because I have got an empty glass at this point. So, but but there has to be better ways, right? There have to be better ways to do this that can accomplish everything.
And they're going to have to use better ways.
And
I think going forward, because of this, that's what they're going to have to do.
And hopefully what part of this case does is makes sure that the industry itself works better at regulating itself. Okay? Because here we obviously had someone who was supposed to be an armorer who did not do a good job at their job. All right? They did not ensure the safety and the protection of the crew with the weapons that they were in charge of. And that's ultimately what this comes down to, is she did not protect the crew from themselves or from mistakes. And that is what the industry now needs to concentrate more on.
The other question that I had about this, and I heard about her behavior, how she tried to contact jurors, she tried to contact people. I'm not justifying her behavior at all. Was she guilty? Was she in the end ultimately responsible? Yes. However, I still question if Alec Baldwin is completely
correct,
complacent in this.
That's still an open question.
I don't think that you can
agree. I do not believe that she.
I don't think you can
should
hold
be the
harmless.
Only one held at fault here.
I don't think you can hold harmless the person who actually pulled the trigger. I don't think that person can be completely in the clear. However, whatever their intent was, because they have to be aware of what the possibilities are, especially given the other circumstances that they are aware of. He wasn't blind to what else was going on around set. So, that should have registered in his mind.
Granted, on Monday morning quarterbacking here.
Yes.
In hindsight's 2020. If I was in his shoes and I had any indication that these guns were being used for live fire, anything, recreation, whatever, I would want to check myself.
Yes.
Before that gun was used in a scene to see that it was properly, that it was safe.
Yeah.
To Colin's point, if this was a gun that had a magazine, you don't know that every cartridge was fired. You could still have live rounds in that gun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
And the last
point,
point,
you can't ignore the fact that that's the way Hollywood has worked for 100 years. You have decades of there's every single person with a gun in all the John Wayne movies. Do all of them know what they're doing with those things? No, they're firing out in the air.
Well, but I can tell you
I think that it's like they're actors. They're given something. They don't really know what it is, and to expect.
Well,
retroactively,
I don't know that that's.
No, I'm not disagreeing. What I'm doing is getting to a point.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they looked at it, and I think because of this, we had there's previous deaths, but those were usually like there's something got stuck in the gun, and it got shot out, and somebody died. And but this was an actual live bullet was in that gun, and I think it fundamentally is going to change how Hollywood works.
Well, and I think I think that more and more actors are trying to be intelligent about what they're doing, especially when it comes to deadly stunts. I mean, you look at, and this might be the exception rather than the rule, but you look at, say, for example, Keanu Reeves, okay, and the John Wick movies. Keanu knows what he's doing with those weapons. He is an animal when it comes to practicing with those. I have seen videos of his target shooting and his understanding of how to break down and clean and reassemble, and he is as good as any marksman out there. Okay, I won't say that he's a true sniper or anything like that, but he is, and all of his stunt coordinators have said he takes this very, very seriously, and he understands what he has his hands on and how it is used, and what is involved. Now, I don't know that, there's others.
There's two sides
to
that.
Like that.
He may be doing it more so that his performance looks more realistic, right? You have that side, but then you have the side where actors and actresses, they respect they want to know what they're actually firing. They want to know what it feels like. Because they want to be safe, not so much about realism. An example being, everybody praised how Linda Hamilton for Terminator movies. What was it? Judgment Day, I think. How she went through live fire training with every weapon that she shot, so that she knew how to react, how it would feel. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to give you hindsight? So if it was accidentally misloaded, you're going to know. But I would have thought that after Brandon Lee passed away, to Colin's point, that there would have been more safety and more regulations in place. That's kind of my point.
My point is, going forward, the actor is not going to allow themselves to be given a real weapon. And it doesn't matter how much safety anybody says about it. They're going to say, no, from this point on, if you give me a real weapon, I am personally responsible for it. So therefore, you are going to pay whatever it's going to take to put in a fake weapon and make it look real later. Because I'm not going to be holding it.
Yeah. Mike, you talk about Brandon Lee, but you have to remember, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, but
and that was that's the one that was a fragment. That was that was not a live round.
Right. So that was the tip of a bullet from a previous scene. But regardless, people have short memories, unfortunately.
Well,
when it comes
to
last
point about this, and then we can move on to the movie review. Do either of you guys have any desire to see this movie now?
No.
Oh no, I was going to see it anyway. It doesn't matter. But no, I'm going to see it now.
Yeah.
It's not going on our list.
Oh, no. Absolutely not. I'd be shocked if it even got a theater release at this point, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure why they continued after the fact. But, all right. So this evening we have Map of Tiny Perfect Things for our movie. It's available on Amazon Prime. There was some discussion last week, or last show, about this movie. About, this isn't the kind of movie that we watch, or this is not our normal movie, or I don't know about this movie, maybe not. Or
all right, so you know what? Since I'm glad I get to quarterback this week, because I feel like this is an excellent way to flip the script on the conversation we just had.
Yeah.
So, Map of Tiny Perfect Things. Right? This is an Amazon original that has been popping up as recommended ever since I was tricked into watching that musical Britfest called Anna and the Apocalypse. Apparently, since then, Amazon thought I was a teenager or some kind of crap that enjoyed musicals. Now, first sequence of this movie shows us following Mark, main character, as he starts his day, and it is very reminiscent of Bill Murray in Groundhog Day once he realizes what's going on. He knows everything that's going to happen, has everything timed just right, and seems to be having fun with it. Well, having fun until he gets rejected by the girl again. Now, the interesting part is that he does not have to fall asleep to reset. It just happens. He seems to follow a lot of the same things Bill Murray did, like learn to play music, art, saving people from humiliation or accidents and things like that. Then along comes Margaret, the 1,000th time living the same day, and something changes. Now, it's a little odd that once he meets Margaret, her number does not disappear from his phone the next day. Of course, if it did, then the movie probably wouldn't even happen. There's a line that makes this movie make sense. Most of life is junk, right? It's just filler. And then there's these moments when all the randomness turns into something perfect. It's like life dropping all the bullshit for a second to show us how amazing it could be all the time if it wanted to. Thus, the title of the movie is born. Mark decides to make a map of the tiny perfect things, and Margaret decides to help him. Now you got the general plot of the movie. A little over halfway through, movie turns from teen adventure to teen rom-com with the typical Hallmark-style twist of let's just be friends. Now, just when you think they have the exit the loop figured out, Margaret decides to bail. She doesn't want to exit the loop. We find out exactly why, and of course, it's for the worst possible reason. I'm not going to spoil it for you. From that point on, the movie does kind of draw you in. You do want to see how it turns out. You want to see how it ends. So, puke to Schnikes. I'm going to give this one a smile. This is not something I would have picked out on my own. But it was a pretty good movie as far as the time loop stories go. It got a bump up from Smirk because they brought Chewbacca home at the very end. You'll figure it out. Now, just some quick points here. A nerd that sucks at math, and math is always perfect. That's because numbers do not lie. God damn, I love when things come full circle. Time Bandits reference. Okay. A lot of Time Bandits reference in this movie, so this movie is instantly cooler. Stealth date. Is that a thing? Has a stealth date always been a thing? Because if it was, I was like a Don Juan DeMarco back in the day. Question. If her number and text don't disappear from his phone, why can't he take a picture of the map so he doesn't have to start over every day? What? Anything still has feather stuffing in this world. There is no such thing as feather flinging pillow fights except in the movies. Plus, Goose Down is cruel. And what would be worse? Well, no, I'm not even going to read that one because that kind of spoils part of the point. So that's my review in a nutshell. But yeah, I gave it a smile. Surprisingly, I didn't think I was going to like this movie, and I actually did like this movie.
All right, Colin, you want to go next?
I just correct one thing, Mike. The number was not staying on the phone. After he got the number, he was laying in the bed with the phone, staring at the number, memorizing it.
Okay.
And as soon as the day restarted, the very first thing he did was put the number back in the phone.
Okay. I thought that I thought I saw the string of texts, which would imply that it was there the whole time.
There might have been a string of texts of things that he was sending her throughout the day, but it was not
right.
Maintaining. I love Groundhog Day, and I've seen a couple bad attempts to remake Groundhog Day, and I thought this one took some of the basic concept but took it a different direction. And so I look at this, and the fact I even referenced Groundhog Day, I really liked this movie. I liked it much more than I expected it to. I didn't like it more than I expected to in such a way that I'm going to give it a Schneikens. Because that's what I would usually do. Usually I'd say, well, if I didn't think I was going to like a movie and I really loved it, then Schneikens. Now I'm going to get the SEG. I really like this movie. I really think that they came up with a way to take the Groundhog Day concept and do something new with it. The only way that it could have been better is if both of the actors were actually 17 and not in their late 20s.
Okay. So Mike and Colin both covered a lot of this, and Colin did point out the one thing I was going to say, which was, yeah, he memorized the number. But I love the haircut scene. I thought that was hilarious. I loved, the discussion of what would you do if you were stuck in a time loop. I love that this one started out not how did they get in the time loop, but the just jumping right into he's been in this loop for a while already, and he's already learned everything, and he's already got this knowledge, rather than having to work into it, like what we were with Groundhog Day. He's already lived it for a long time. I liked that part of this because I was like, cool. I don't have to go through any of the lead up into this. It really gave, it just jumped you right into it. And, there are that idea of, hey, we're living this life, and so let's try to find all the little perfect things in life, like the blowing of the bubbles, or like the old people playing cards and dancing around, or all these little things that we sometimes skip over in life, but that make life worth living. That was a really cute story without being Hallmarky. Okay, this was a Hallmark show without being Hallmarky, without the played out tropes of a Hallmark show. Unfortunately, it's about repeating the day, so therefore my wife wouldn't like it because she doesn't like those kind of shows. But I think it was a really good. I really like this, so I am going to give this. I'm going to give it a smile, the same as Mike. I don't know that the rewatchability is very high for this. That's the only reason why I won't rank it any higher than that. But I think that this was what this series is about. It's finding those shows that you wouldn't normally watch, that you would never intentionally put on, but that you should. All right. If you have a date night with your spouse and you want something different, you don't want to watch the same thing you've always watched, this is a good movie for that. All right. This is a great date night movie because it'll pull at your heartstrings a little bit, but then it brings you back around. And this is one that you would have never known if you didn't watch PTR Radio. So this is the diamond in the rough that we're looking for. This is what this was designed to find out. So let's see if we can go for another week, and let's see if we can find another one. So Mike, fire up that spreadsheet and tell me how many we have.
We're at 27.
27. All right. Well, let's pull up random.org here and see if what its good old generator is going to tell us today. 11.
I'm sitting here looking at this one. I don't know if this qualifies.
Okay.
This is because I think this violates a rule and I don't know who put it on the list here.
Oh,
The Equalizer 3.
We have not watched the
Final
prequels
film.
to this.
That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, I would say that
Yeah.
we cannot watch this now without watching the other ones, and I'm not up for watching 2 Equalizer movies before we get to this. So let's move that.
So,
Yeah. Right, they're good movies, but
Okay.
we don't need to talk about them anyway.
So next on my random is 24.
24. Oh, crap. Well, I know this one's still available. I'm not even going to look at it. It's an Amazon original.
Uh-huh.
Ricky Stenicki.
Ricky, boy, that has been suggested on my list for ever since it came out.
I cannot believe. Okay, so I'm just going to flat out say this right now.
Uh-huh.
That I can't believe that Ricky Stenicki made it onto this list
Uh-huh.
and Roadhouse did not.
Well, Roadhouse isn't out yet. Isn't it? Wasn't that a theatrical preview for Roadhouse?
No, I thought
they're mad because it's not going theatrical. The director believes it's a great movie that you could have won Oscars for, but Amazon refused to put it in theaters.
Oh, I didn't know that it was available. Okay, well, we'll add Roadhouse for the next. So why don't we go ahead and decide that Roadhouse is going to be the next movie?
I'm
We
okay
can do
with
that.
and I think Mama Blair is okay with that too.
You think Mama Blair's okay with Roadhouse being the next one? She was on
the slide trying to make us.
She wants to watch Jake Gyllenhaal.
Map the Tiny Perfect Thing. She wanted us to review Roadhouse for the next one. So
Mama Blair's thirsty for Jake Gyllenhaal, is what you're saying.
Colin is so uncomfortable with us talking about Mama Blair.
Oh,
Why
she's
is
in
your sign
Hawaii
flashing?
right now. So.
I don't know.
Okay, so all right, so the show after the 29th,
yes,
will be Roadhouse, and she will be back by then.
Okay.
So
well, that'll give me something to watch in the hotel. So that'll be great.
All right. Oh God, Ricky's.
Hey, it's John Cena. It can't be that bad.
Oh, really? I would like to refer you to F9 with John Cena.
F9.
Where AKA Fast and the Furious go with a space.
Oh, I didn't watch that one. I'm not a Fast and the Furious fan, man. I remember
did see that one.
I mean, I would give you examples of John Cena's good movies. Okay? So Freelance was good. He was good in the Peacemaker. You know, he was
that one.
He was good in Cock Blockers.
Didn't see it.
He was good in Playing with Fire. We reviewed that one.
We did.
Yep. He had a bit part in Trainwreck that was pretty good.
Didn't see it.
Evidently, that Vacation Friends has been pretty good. He's got 2 of those. He was in what else? Oh, he hosted Wipeout. Host Wipeout.
Listen, okay.
Good there.
I like John Cena. I'm not. I prefer John Cena over The Rock at this point because there's too much Brock.
It's too much Rock.
He is everywhere. But Mike, back to just real quick for F9. I did have a comment on the spacecraft car that I like very much. It was the spacecraft made out of a Tilt-A-Whirl car in Explorers was a more believable spaceship than the car in F9.
Yeah. Pontiac Fiero would have blown up. Point blank and period.
So.
But yeah,
All right. Well, there you go. That's what we got coming up. Let's see here. And in addition, if you would like to see members of the show outside the show, next Friday night I will be in Buffalo, Illinois, hosting Trivia Night for Tri-City Library. So the last 2 weeks of this month are very busy for me. So Buffalo on the 26th, at Trivia Night there. And then on the 1st, I will be in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center doing a speech there. So you can see me all over this great land of ours from little bitty town to the big city. Colin, Mike, you guys have any appearances coming up?
No.
Not until June.
Not until June. All right.
I officially got my residency was renewed, and I am officially DJing the end of school field day for the Sayreville Elementary School.
Woohoo! That's awesome.
This will officially be my longest event at 5 hours.
Wow.
So I'm like thinking to myself, good Lord, I actually have to buy stuff for this now and I got to prepare a little different.
Yep. Well, maybe on our next show, since the trivia will be over by then, we can go through some of the trivia questions that I put up because I've got some new categories. And we'll see how good you guys are. That
sounds like fun.
I will tell you right now, one of the category names is Bumper Stumpers.
Stumpers. Really?
Mm-hmm. So that might be fun for everybody to play. So, but otherwise, folks, you can check us out. We will be back on the 29th. So look for us then. 29th will be our next Monday regular show. But, until then, make sure to check us out on all the social media channels at PTR Radio on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. But until then, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I'm Mike the 8 Man.
Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. Later.